Hi, it's Lami again. I'm TraXel's nurse coach, and this is another episode of Holistic Approach to Wellness with MS. Today, I'd like to focus on patients that are newly diagnosed or maybe just newer with the diagnosis of MS, and kind of want to support you in any possible way that I can. So first, I just want to start with saying diagnosis of MS is extremely overwhelming. And so understanding the importance of feeling all your emotions and all the roller coaster emotions that go with that, and really just being able to sit with it is extremely important. When we mask our emotions or really kind of bury it down, so to speak, I promise you it will come back in some shape or form in other ways, even if it's months, weeks, even years down the line. It will manifest in other ways, as in anxiety, panic attack, even, pain, other ways. So make sure that you are feeling all the emotions of sadness or anger, whether it's denial, all of the things. It's hard to get to a place of acceptance, and that's okay. As long as you're able to just know that all these emotions are normal, and just being able to acknowledge it is extremely important. Also, with MS, it is one of the quote-unquote invisible diseases, things that people can't see and don't know that you have, and things that you're struggling with. It's often easy to internalize all your emotions and then kind of feel alone with that. You might feel shame. There's a lot of things going on. So very important to make sure you express how you feel, and then really think about what your needs are. And asking for help is huge. But yes, really just figuring out how to handle it, whether it's talking with friends or family, talking to your doctor about your issues, therapist, whatever that is. But it is normal to sometimes just feel all these things like shame, etc. But again, try not to just keep it to yourself, and really ask for help is super important. Also, one of the main goals I'd like to talk about too is just making sure that we're just incorporating basic nervous system regulation as a daily practice. So not just as symptoms flare up or, as needed, but as a daily practice. It's super important to keep our nervous system regulated. And I talked about this in first 2 or 3 episodes of this series, but it's really just about taking it easy and using breath work. That was the last episode we talked about, was the power of breath is super important in dealing with MS and our emotions, and really just help us feel calm as much as possible. But there's many things like meditation or journaling to help you with self-reflection and to deal with everything and the stress that goes with all of this. Grounding is super important also. Just getting comfortable in a spot and really just getting your feet on the ground, kind of sitting upright, getting comfortable, and just kind of feeling how you're sitting and just being present, essentially. And just really noticing everything around you. And I don't know if you can hear birds chirping and whatnot, but that is one of the things that I do, is sit out here in my backyard where I can hear the birds chirping. Helps ground me. I can hear the wind and the leaves blowing on my trees. I can hear the kids playing in the other yards. There's so many other things that is super important for grounding ourselves, being present, and really just appreciative and grateful to help us deal with everything. And also, to kind of go into that is just about reframing your mindset, and kind of goes hand in hand with that about just being grateful with what you can do and what you do have, and not focusing on all the negatives, because that can be overwhelming. One of my favorite top tips to talk about is conserving energy. Make sure you're prioritizing what you're doing so that you don't get overwhelmed. Make sure you know when to pause. That's extremely important. To know when to stop and know when to realize, look, these certain chores like laundry or dishes can wait for a minute, or wait till tonight or tomorrow, even if it comes to it. Just knowing what needs to be done right now, and what can wait. So really planning things, and not planning too much, I should say. I make sure that I really space out activities and meetings and things like that. Even if it's not physical, even mentally, it can be exhausting sometimes. So really try to space out what I have planned, if you can, especially for work or other activities, just to make it manageable. Also, like to talk about, again, the importance of neuroplasticity, and how it can really it's about rewiring your brain. And so I've talked about this before also, but functional physical therapy, found it online. You can look up YouTube videos on it, but it's really about practicing what you want to do. So for me, I have limping issues, walking issues. So I really just have to do like a slow motion walk, literally balancing on my one leg, lifting up my leg. It's just like literally a slow walk, but it's super important as far as just specific movement and practicing that, so that my body doesn't just rely on limping. Because the more things that you do, the more you practice what you want, like walking normal, the more your body will respond to that. As opposed to limping, your body's going to think that's normal, and so it's going to continue limping, if not get worse. So I really believe in neuroplasticity and specific functional movements to help that you practice what you want to do, even if you can't do it. Even if you have struggles with like holding a pen or holding a mug, for example. It's all about thoughts and rewiring your brain again to think, okay, this is what I want to do. And the more thoughts you have on that, the more your body and your brain will be reprogrammed to do that. And the same thing with walking, same thing with whatever your issues are. Positive thinking, repetitive thoughts of what you want to do, and then repetitive movements of what you're trying to do, even if you can't do it. It's all about thinking about trying to do it, and then just the visualization is super important, and then actually doing it if you can is super important, even if it's slow movements. I have found that it has helped me with my walking. Now, of course, I have bad days and good days also, but the good days I do notice an improvement. And it is a super slow progress, I have to say, but to me, I'll take any progress, slow or not. Progress is progress to me. So I'm going to continue to keep doing that, and I encourage others to really look into neuroplasticity and how it can help you specifically on what your needs are. It never hurts to review the basics of making sure you're getting quality sleep and at least 7 to 8 hours every night. This is something I still struggle with. I think I talk about that every time. Still a work in progress, but I am getting better with it. But quality of sleep is important. Your nutrition is very important. mytraxel.com has great access to an ebook for nutrition. If you need some information on that, that's a great resource. And then also just making sure we get exercise and movement, and whatever that means for you. I try to do as much as I can with walking, of course, and then I even try to do some strength training. And even if you're limited on what you can do, I really want to stress the importance of movement, period. So chair exercises are still great. Using resistance bands in your chair are still great. Like, don't think that little things like chair exercises, even, simple yoga, even certain stretches or light weights, like, don't think that that's not important, because all of that counts for movement. The more we can do to keep our bodies in shape, the more it'll help with everything. And so also just want to talk about, the importance of community. Like, that's what I love about TraXel, is great information, great resources, and great community. And there's nothing like talking to and listening to people who understand what we're dealing with. And so finding resources, finding groups, there's so many great groups on either just Facebook alone has a lot. There's a lot of groups that you can find. There's a local MS group that meets at our library. So there's a lot of resources. Really encourage you to lean on others as much as you can. Talk to people about how you're feeling and what you need help with. And like I said, community is huge. And also, another thing that has helped me a lot is really just reading and research. The more you know, the better. Knowledge is power. So done a lot of reading on like the latest trends on MS, and kind of just following different groups, either social media or whatnot. There's a lot of different ways you can do that. And even if you're not into reading and research per se, there's still tons of, audible books that you can listen to, or podcasts are great. There's even a great podcast with Christina Applegate and Jamie Lynn Sigler. It's called Messy. It's not necessarily so much educational, even though there is a lot of great information they talk about that, but it's just a great conversational podcast where they talk about their MS symptoms, the struggles. It's very raw. I love it because they talk about anything and everything, whether it's not just dealing with MS, but dealing with the other factors of family members, and how do you deal with, raising kids and with MS. There's so many things that they talk about. It's great. But again, just being with people who understand, or listening to stories of people who understand with MS, is really helpful. And it makes us, feel like we're not alone, which is another thing that I do want to stress is, please don't be alone. Reach out, get some friends to talk to, call somebody if you need to, get a neighbor to help if needed. Also too, humor is huge. That is my huge coping mechanism. So if anything, if you can't laugh at yourself, I just think that's the best way to deal with stress. Sometimes I'll trip over nothing just because maybe my foot doesn't lift up with my foot drop. I'll just trip randomly out of nowhere, or my leg will get out of nowhere, and I just laugh at myself because it's frustrating, honestly, but also doesn't hurt to just laugh at yourself and just know that we're all human. We're all doing what we can. Our body does what it wants to do with MS, and just accepting that and just using humor and laughter is always good to help you deal with a lot of the stress. So again, I just want to end with the importance of being an advocate for yourself, doing research and reading up on specifically what you need, listening to your body, getting rest when you need to, and again, just finding your resources and using them, and leaning on family and friends and support when you need to. So with that, I was just going to say, let's continue to keep everyone just healthy and healthy and happy. And let's just continue to keep each other uplifted and positive as much as possible. If you have any questions or comments, please comment on mytraxel.com on the forum. And I hope everyone has a great day, and I hope this was helpful.